been, girl? Where you been, huh? You know I need you more than ever, just a vent, huh? And lately I've been getting so bent. You know your love is creeping like a clock.
Hi, my name is Tasha. This is Let Me Vent.
Just let me vent.
As a child, I was really kind of raised by my mom, single parent. My dad was not a part of our lives. So I guess I can say that that's probably where the anger and the frustration as far as my mom is concerned began to take a place and take role. She was working many jobs.
And these girls do the same, like we're Siamese, but they never do.
So it was just us staying in the projects, and she was trying to do, I guess, the best that she could do, how she could do it, and it began to be a bit much for her. I think that it really began to escalate when I was 6. I want to say when I was 6. I remember my great-grandmother had just died. We received the news after returning home from school. And it's like my mom just, you know, I guess she just kind of started drinking. She wasn't home. So we were left to kind of fend for ourselves. And that's when the abuse, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, the verbal abuse, all of that started. And although it was 3 of us, I can say that I was probably the target. I was known, or I was called the devil's child. That's what my great-grandmother would call me. Till this day I still don't know why. I guess I was the problem child. So a lot of the frustration that my mom felt was geared more towards me. I was beat, you know, as a child. There are still some incidents. And before I say anything else, let me at least say that, you know, my mom and we have started trying to repair a relationship. You know, I see her almost every day, so I do still love her. Just for the record, there are some things that have not been dealt with, and as a child and now as an adult, I still remember, sometimes can even still kind of feel the incidents that took place at that moment. There was a specific moment that actually occurred. The lights went out in the apartment complex, and there were kids over, you know, neighborhood friends, and we had candles lit, and I don't recall really how it happened. I just know that I remember a can of soda falling on the ground, and I went down to get it, and the next thing I know, everybody's just kind of like, oh yeah, your hair is on fire. So you know, I'm like, okay, my hair is on fire, and then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I'm being drugged upstairs, and my mom, she's choking me. She's choking me senseless. I can't breathe. You know, people were trying to get her off of me. Until this day, I still don't understand as to what it was that I did wrong. The abuse continued. Babysitter, who was supposed to be a friend of the family, who was a woman, began to take advantage of me sexually. Just kind of make me do things to her. Mind you, I was only like 6. It's a lot to take in. I think that that's a horrible thing for any child to have to go through. The abuse, the sexual abuse, the verbal. You know, there were times where my siblings and I didn't even eat because my mom was just so hungover. You know, I could just remember us screaming, you know, Mom, can we have something to eat? No response for days. I started stealing bread. I started stealing bread out of our own pantry so that we could have something to eat. And I was caught one day, and I was beat with the broomstick, and that was the day that I started running away. I had first attempted suicide by hanging myself with the belt on the closet. I remember before I blacked out, my sister and my mom went upstairs and found me. And they thought that it would help by putting me in a mental institution, which was then known as B&H. So I was seeing all kind of psychiatrists and you know, basically kind of like being labeled as a crazy person, until CPS decided to step in. The last incident, I was dragged off of the daycare van by my hair and beat in my face. And I guess that's when the neighbors were just kind of like, that's enough. CPS came, they took us away. We went to Buckner. And my sister and my brother, they went back home after the first foster home. But because I began to act out and attempted suicide more than twice, I was kept. From there, bounced from lockdown facility to lockdown facility, being very rebellious, fighting, running away, you know, just kind of rebelling against authority in every aspect. I was lonely, the lonely child. I was, you know, had this shield up to where I did not want anyone else to infiltrate or to try to hurt me in any kind of way. And I think that instead of it being seen as such, I was labeled constantly. I had no contact with my family for years. I don't, you know, and eventually as I started to grow up, would say probably my preteens, I guess I started kind of getting better. Still really little contact with my family. Till this day, I kind of not really close with my family. They began to take me out of lockdown facilities and began to put me in foster homes. That kind of worked out and it kind of didn't, because I began to gravitate to the wrong crowds. Doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing, trying to please people and thinking that if I was down with the crew, that would make me popular, that would make me somebody. In reality, I was nobody. Felt like nobody. But to the outsiders, I was this big bad girl who could fight anybody and take on anybody. And that's not who I was in reality. So I want to say probably high school, middle school, trouble with the cops. I even called myself trying to swing on one in middle school. Don't ask me why, I don't know. Like I said, just trying to fit in and trying to look cool to the crowd. So the foster home, the last foster home I want to say that I moved into was actually in Beaumont. And she was very like God-fearing. You know, I appreciate her to this day. But I think that my mentality at that time was more so of, you know, kind of like forget the world, you know, turn against God, and, you know, feeling like he allowed a lot of things to happen to me. I was surrounded by people who loved me, who would support me, who were supporting me in doing the right things. Yet I still felt like the world owed me something, or they were obligated. So that didn't work out so well, but I did graduate high school, and that was a plus. But things turned for the worst. You know, as I started building a relationship or trying to build a relationship with my family members, my sister and I, we clashed so much. And I think that it has a lot to do with the fact that we were put against each other so much as children. It was always, oh, you fight her, or you fight her, or she's better, or she's not better. Until this day, I feel like that there is still some competition. So we don't see eye to eye. We don't really get along all the time. So I'm still trying to build some type of relationship with my family. I've tried to come out and talk about the past and, you know, try to clear the air, but it's like that never works. People see me as hard. People see me as somebody with no filter and somebody who just is just say whatever, just hard, just have no feelings, no nothing. But they don't know that that's a cover-up for what I've been through, what I go through, and what I've seen. Like, after my high school year, I graduated, you know, I was proud, but it led to me going into prostitution. And I think that has a lot to do with me not having a father figure, of course. Not having a man in my life to say, this is not what it is, this is not what it needs to be, this is not who you are. But because I looked for validation, I think that I thought that I was, you know, because at the time I had a nice body and, you know, I was just all of that. Fresh out of high school, I had just lost my virginity senior year, thought I was gonna hold on to it forever, and I didn't. I was wild. I up and moved to Louisiana, Baton Rouge, where I was put in cahoots with this guy who would put up Craigslist ads for escort services. So I linked up with him and a few other people, and I started doing the escort. I actually made some good money, but it was filthy. It gave me a feeling that was just out of this world. And it wasn't a good feeling, but because it was making me money, I just did it. Because it's what looked good, I just did it. I could have been raped on many of occasions, and that never happened. So I'm blessed, to say the least. I was eventually I was left out in the cold. I decided not to pay. Didn't feel like I needed to pay anybody to solicit my ads on the website because I was the one working. So I was basically put out. In Louisiana, no family, didn't have anybody, couldn't really make any more money without his assistance. Had a few dollars left to my name, and I was staying in this hotel, and they were about to kick me out, and I had nobody. So I became basically homeless. So this pimp reached out to me from Detroit. He had saw one of my ads, and he had reached out to me, and with my last money I took a Greyhound to Detroit with nothing but a suitcase and a bag of shoes. I didn't feel comfortable, but I needed to survive. I needed a way to survive, and that was it. So I get to Detroit, meet this guy, don't like him at all. He's not who he said he would be, but I had to go along with it. The house was with some other girls. He got me on at a strip club, and I stripped there for probably like one day. We were told not to talk to anyone. We were told that we couldn't talk to his brothers. They couldn't talk to us unless they had his permission. and we were told to call him nothing other than daddy. And I guess that struck a nerve with me. You know, if it's not something I don't want to do, then I'm not going to do it. So that posed a problem with him and I. I didn't want to call him dad. So eventually he put me out. Stripped one day and he put me out because I was going against the grain. Took all of my things, took my money, took my identity, took the last bit of the clothes that I had, and just dropped me off in the middle of nowhere. So I'm out in Detroit with a halter on and some flip-flops and some capris, and it's snowing, and I'm just stuck at a gas station with nobody, just there. And he left me there. There was this girl that came along, you know, she offered me a job, and that didn't really work out. And then I met my daughter's dad, and that didn't work out either. So again, here I am, pregnant and homeless after a few months, and my cousin bought me a ticket to come back to Beaumont, where I started over. But I think that a lot of the things that I deal with today have a lot to do with the fact that my past has not been confronted. I don't know how this, you know, will play out. I don't know. A lot of people don't know that I was a prostitute. A lot of people don't know that I was beaten. A lot of people don't know that I was raped. But I was, and that's my truth. And a lot of, and I guess what really hurts the most is that it came from family. These things didn't happen outside of my family. They didn't happen with people I didn't know. They happened with people whom I was around on a daily basis. And the system, the foster care system, raised me. It raised me and brought me up, and now I am doing, I guess, what I have to do. You know, as a parent, I'm about to be 25 now, and I'm just coming out and saying all of these things, and I guess it's just what it is. I haven't since I was like 6, since before they took me. With the whole babysitter issue, she actually made me hate women. I despise them to the core. But I'm learning now that I can't blame every female for something that she did to me. Just yesterday, actually, I can say, you know, although she's still in denial about everything, I try not to push the issue. I don't want to push her away. I just pray that, you know, one day God is just kind of like, you know, he just touches her heart to, you know, and we can actually kind of have a heart-to-heart about everything. I learned that the devil isn't always the devil, basically. I learned that you can't expect people to be who they are not. And when I say that, my mom was not, I don't feel like she was ready to be a single parent. And I don't think that she was capable at the time of loving. And it's like we hold people accountable for how they treat us, and not try to see past all of the things that maybe they're going through. We can't expect people to love us if they don't know what love is. So I've learned not to hold people in such high standards and high expectations, and just kind of like deal with them on the level that they are at.
Yeah. I got this black rose just for you. Sincere. Thinking about my past girl. Past girl got me thinking about my last girl. Last girl got me lost off in the past.
He took a gun, and I know it was loaded. Took the gun, loaded it, cocked it back, and put it to my head, and said, "I dare you to leave." So I'm just sitting there like I'm stuck. And as I'm putting it in reverse, I see his finger pull on some more, on the trigger some more, and he shoved it up against my head. So I'm like, okay. So I got out the car, and I went back in the house, and he punched the hell out of me in my face. Like
a drug, girl, you leave me numb. You like my dealer, I've been searching, girl, you leave me strong. So where you been, girl? Where you been, huh? You know I need you more than ever, just a van.